right. Well, Suzanne Muldowney is our guest again for Christmas, for a Christmas special. So thank you, Suzanne, for coming back. And today we'll talk about Christmas.
It's nice that Christmas is celebrated worldwide. I think, yes, the most important thing people worldwide must remember is that Christmas is a holiday commemorating the birth of Jesus. Now, in olden days, it was called Christ's Mass, and it was abbreviated to Christmas. Also, the greeting, Merry Christmas, literally means Mary, the Blessed Virgin Mary, Christ's Mass.
You see that? You learn something. Every time we come to visit, I learn something new, which is good.
See, unfortunately, one of the worst things that happens every Christmas, especially in North America, I don't know the extent among other countries, is placing too much attention on the wrong subject instead of on Jesus' nativity. Here in North America, the most disgraceful precedent is the overimportance, false godhood, and inconsistencies of Santa Claus. Now, sometimes he's called Saint. There was a real Saint Nicholas in the 5th or 6th century A.D., but he was a church bishop. He was a cleric, which means that he always wore religious garb. In real life, he never looked or dressed the way the United States and maybe all the rest of North America insists Santa Claus looks and dresses. The image of Santa Claus, the way we know it, started in the 19th century with the poem The Night Before Christmas by Clement Clarke Moore. Either of you ever read it?
Yes.
All right. Well, in time, it was in print, but people wanted something more. They wanted a picture, a vision. How did St. Nicholas look? And then it was American cartoonist Thomas Nast in the 19th century that invented the obvious Santa Claus image. Unfortunately, like I said, there's the disgraceful, abominable example of too much attention on Santa Claus rather than on Christ. Now, Boris, you were born overseas. When you were growing up, what was it like in your homeland? Did your homeland have any fictional Christmas characters that were made too important, or the children were tricked into believing those characters were real, sometimes even before they learned the first thing about God or Jesus?
Well, we didn't have God, but we had Comrade Tito.
We had what?
Comrade Tito. Remember Tito?
Well, that was your homeland's terminology for God.
Well, no, it was. You remember the guy who was running the country? You remember Yugoslavia used to exist?
No,
You don't remember that?
Tito?
Yeah, he was the leader. He was kind of like.
Well, yeah, he was a dictator. So obviously he curbed
that's what we didn't
proper holiday observances.
We didn't have Santa Claus. We had Comrade Tito.
Well,
did he bring you gifts?
Sure.
He was more of a taker, I think, right?
So we all looked at pictures of Tito. That was a gift. But there was no Christmas. It was banned.
Oh dear.
So we had New Year's. That was the holiday. New Year's was the holiday that everyone celebrated.
Some countries have the tradition of exchanging presents on New Year's Day. They reserve a Christmas Day for worship and reverence.
Right, instead of getting a chubby guy with a sled.
Did you guys exchange gifts on New Year's Day?
The kids would get little candy or something like that, like a little bag with fruit and like.
But
But
were
it
they
was
made to
different.
believe that Tito was God or some supernatural being?
Yes, he was everything. They canceled God, and they brought him out. They said, "There's no more God, but we have Comrade Tito." That was it.
Wow. I can't be sure how many other world countries or cultures may have the traditions of fictional Christmas characters that are overemphasized and a deception to the children.
Well, he wasn't fictional. He wasn't fictional.
Who?
Tito.
Like Jesus?
No, not. They
Oh, you mean
canceled
the dictator Tito? Yeah, I know.
right.
Yeah, I know he was
So
real.
Jesus
I'm talking
basically
about.
he was outsourced. Jesus lost his job. He was laid off.
Well,
Temporarily.
was he
Now he's back.
expelled? Was he thrown out? How was he ousted?
He erased him.
Erased him?
Yeah, they erased him.
But didn't he, as a living being, go on to some other kind of existence?
I don't know, but I think from when I was a kid and before,
Yes.
there was no Jesus.
He was erased from people's memories.
Well, officially.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, in secret, you could have done stuff, but not out in public.
Yeah.
All right. Because like I said, if other world countries or cultures overemphasize fictional characters at Christmas time and deceive the children into making them believe that those characters were real, then they're following the same disgraceful example of too much attention on the wrong character, the way certainly the United States does.
Have you ever heard of Krampus?
What?
Krampus?
Krampus?
Yes.
What's that?
It's a Germanic figure. It's kind of the anti-Santa Claus. I think it was dreamed up to make children behave in a negative way. The same
to
way.
punish the bad kid.
Yeah. So Krampus comes in at the holidays, the winter season, and kidnaps bad children and takes them away. And I forget what he does. Sometimes he eats them.
But are children deceived by the grown-ups in believing that
Krampus.
his name is real? Sometimes even before they're taught the first thing about God or Jesus' nativity.
I don't know when in the progression it comes, but I think there are some parents that probably would start early telling children about Krampus to try to keep them calm when
Under
the parents-
control.
Yeah, when the parents want them to be. Yeah.
Well, that's still the same wrongful precedent of too much attention on the wrong theme too early.
And they do have Krampus parades over there, where
Oh,
people
boy.
dress up as demonic figures like Krampus and go around and hit you
Philadelphia.
with switches. Yeah, and they do now here.
What do you mean? Would they menace children spectators with some crude weapons?
Yeah.
Oh golly! Even Halloween participants, Halloween parade participants don't go that drastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Disgraceful.
It's pretty interesting.
But I think Santa Claus is scarier now.
Well, also what you said about.
Krampus.
All right. Well, imposing himself on children's lives, making them behave. All right. Well, Santa Claus, the way the United States knows him, is also an unseen but omnipresent behavior monitor. Look at the Christmas Carol. Santa Claus is coming to town. The very first statements are threats, even though they're not sung in a threatening tone of voice. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. He's making a list and checking it twice. Who's naughty or nice? He sees you every minute. He knows if you've been bad or good. Rats!
Like a peeping
Intimidations!
Tom. Wouldn't that be called peeping? Like he's peeping Tom looking in the window?
That's true. He is monitoring you all the time.
Yes. Well, see,
That's disgusting.
are either of you familiar with George Orwell's novel 1984?
Yes.
Okay, because current surveillance systems were based partly on that, but those surveillance devices are in public thoroughfares. But the imaginary telescreens or surveillance devices in George Orwell's novel were installed in more private enclosures. And unfortunately, I learned about it only last year, but then I was told it's already been around for about 10 years. People went one step further in marketing Santa as an omnipresent but unseen peeping Tom. They invented something called Elf on the Shelf. You ever heard of that?
I've seen the Elf on the Shelf. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, very creepy. Elf on the Shelf.
well, see that way, the inventors of the Elf on the Shelf went one step further than imaginary surveillance devices. Now there was a visible object.
Yes, it could be. There's one worse than that.
Huh?
There's one that's much worse than that.
What's that?
Epstein on a shelf.
Epstein?
On a shelf.
Epstein?
Yes.
On the shelf?
Yeah, it's very scary.
I don't think it's that popular yet.
Well, are you talking about Epstein, one of the imaginary sweat hogs in the TV series Welcome Back, Kotter?
No, I wish I was, but no. Never mind. Let's move on to the other.
All right, well, look, here's Cece again. Well, the white makes her good for Christmas. See, the Elf on the Shelf is also put into private enclosures, like a child's bedroom. So here, imagine this is the Elf on the Shelf. Anybody watching right now would see the elf's eyes looking right at them and allegedly monitoring their behavior every minute and allegedly passing the information on to Santa Claus and associates.
So he's a traitor.
Huh?
He's a traitor.
It's a hoax! It's a lie!
And
A Quisling, I would say.
what I found out when I was over at a friend's house and the elf started like tipping over and I tried to pick it up, you're not supposed to touch the elf.
Well, because he's drunk.
Well, I don't know about
Well,
that.
well, see, now I have CC facing us. Would you trust a visible object supposedly monitoring your behavior every minute?
Not
No.
if I'm looking at his behind, because that's what the
Well,
viewers
also,
are doing.
the viewers are seeing the behind
Yeah,
now, but
which
I'm
is-
talking
which
about
is- yeah.
about us seeing the face, especially the eyes.
Yes.
It's an invasion of privacy,
That's right.
and like I said, it's a hoax. I'll never forget all the threats, all the ordeals that my parents put me through on the grounds that Santa Claus monitored my behavior every minute. I had to be absolutely perfect in both appearance and behavior, or on Christmas Day I would end up empty-handed. Well, like I said, we make Santa Claus much too important. We get the children hooked on him before we teach them the first thing about God or Jesus. We also make him a false god because we say that he monitors kids' behavior every minute. We also tell the kids that he can do anything. He's Santa Claus, with the result that children might wish for impractical presents or occurrences. But the worst thing of all is that the eighth commandment expressly forbids lying. Now, in my first grade religion book, I had the Ten Commandments, but they were in more contemporary words. The traditional wording for the eighth commandment is, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." But in my first grade religion book, it was worded, "You shall not tell lies." And we have to remember, too many grown-ups make the excuse, oh, a kid has to have something to believe in. Oh, it's only a little white lie. The eighth commandment does not make exceptions for what the common people call white lies. It never has, and it never will. So grown-ups who deliberately deceive their children about the existence of Santa Claus know better. They know that they're lying, and yet they would not tolerate any dishonesty on the children's part. That's how my parents were. They were zealots about always telling the truth, and yet they told me a bunch of lies. I was subject to a lot of hoaxes and ordeals. Consider how in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, they say he's making a list and checking it twice. My parents made behavior charts just about all year round. The slightest mistake I made, they put a black mark on it, on the chart, with punishments being issued upon reaching certain plateaus or totals of black marks.
What kind of punishments did you get?
I would be beaten or denied some kind of nice snack after dinner or threatened with empty-handedness on Christmas Day.
And were they perfect, your parents? And your parents were perfect? They didn't make any mistakes?
Absolutely not.
So that's hypocrisy.
Huh?
That's hypocrisy.
It's inconsistency.
And hypocrisy.
Yes, yes, of course. But see, the children are made to believe that only they commit sins or make mistakes. They're given the false impression that the grown-ups are perfect.
And we all know that's not true.
We all know it's a pack of lies.
Right.
Now, I was subject to all these ordeals. And then one day when I was in the third grade, I opened up my school book, my reading book. Holy Toledo! There was an illustration of a husband and wife together. The man was putting on a Santa Claus disguise while the wife held the hat and the false whiskers. Oh, good grief! This isn't anything more than dressing up like we do for Halloween. I've been told a bunch of lies, and my parents put me through all those ordeals, and they said I mustn't ever tell lies. Oh, boy! Oh! How dare they!
I think they just heard you. They just heard you.
What do you mean?
Well, you were so loud, the microphone must have been blown out.
Oh my gosh!
It's okay. It's
Back to normal.
It's a joke.
So now your parents, they perpetuated the Santa Claus lie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Till how long? How long did that go? Like 15 years, 20?
No. At my very first Christmas, I was only a couple of months old. I was too little. But then a picture taken of me the next Christmas in the family album showed me descending a staircase, and at the foot of the stairs was this gargantuan inflated Santa Claus, like a big punching bag. And there were no signs of nativity-related objects anywhere else in that picture. So I was deceived, I was hooked, I was afraid to visit the Santas in shopping centers or department stores because my parents gave me a hard time for the slightest mistakes, and if Santa allegedly knew everything I said or did that was wrong, when I had to face him, he would bawl me out for all those wrongdoings and say I was on his naughty list.
Did your parents ever, well, maybe you were well enough behaved not to have this happen, but did they ever take away gifts from you
You mean on Christmas Day?
Yeah.
No. They just threatened me with empty-handedness. And then on Christmas Day, there were the presents, but they never swapped any of them away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said about the parents being hypocritical. They're dishonest, and they know better. But they would not tolerate any dishonesty on the children's part. So it's very sad when each generation of children discovers for themselves that they were deceived. I found out by myself when I was in the 3rd grade. I was 8 years old then. I was furious. So when each generation of children grows up and eventually marries and has its own family, this new generation of parents willfully repeat the same lies to the next generation of children. They repeat the lies of goodness knows how many previous generations. They know better.
Why do you think they perpetuate the Santa Claus myth?
My mother made the excuse, children have to have something to believe in. Well, I was still a child then, and I said, well, then they should be forced at the nativity, because that's real. And also, when I grew older, and I began my dancing career, and sometimes was portraying fictional characters. I knew the characters were fictional, but my parents didn't give me the benefit of the doubt. They bore down on focusing and concerning myself with reality only, and they had deceived me in the first place into believing some fantasies were real. Now they had turned the tables. That's another colossal hypocrisy on the grown-ups' part.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel because just recently I found out that Dr. Huxtable.
Who?
Dr. Huxtable. You know the TV show? The Cosby Show.
What?
You ever see the Cosby Show?
Decades ago.
Yes.
Well, what about Bill Cosby, its originator? What about him?
He was giving people funny water, if you know what I mean. So
you mean telling lies?
No, giving them funny water. Spiking it.
Ah!
See? So that's hypocrisy and more. Well, more than hypocrisy. Hypocrisy's way down the list. Never mind.
Let me ask you this. Let's say we were to replace Santa Claus with another gift-giving character, or let's say 3 characters, the 3 kings. And that would be
the Magi?
The Magi. And this way, if children didn't behave, you would tell the Magi not to come or something like that, because they're the gift-giving characters from that nativity story.
Well, there were real-life Magi.
Yeah.
But in reality, there could have been more than 3 of them. We always say the 3 wise men or the 3 kings of Orient because their gifts were threefold: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But in reality, there could have been more than just the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Well, the children have to understand the truth about the nativity. Okay, the gift giving. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the custom of Christmas gift giving goes back to the Magi and their gifts. Now, some fanciful accounts of the Nativity may say that the shepherds who preceded the Magi left gifts also. But the Bible doesn't say anything about the shepherds leaving gifts.
I think the gifts that the shepherds would leave, you wouldn't want.
What?
Because they're bringing the sheep around and.
Or cheese. You get cheese.
True.
They couldn't.
Could be cheese.
Well, it would have been impractical to leave live sheep with the Holy Family, because then they'd be stuck with the responsibility of caring for them.
It could be cheese, but that's all I can think of, because
Cheese.
what else do shepherds have?
Wool.
But
Sweaty.
if they left cheese, the baby Jesus couldn't have eaten it. Only Mary and Joseph.
That would be baby Cheez-Its. Never mind.
Oh boy.
But I totally agree with you. That's why I give my nieces and nephews frankincense. They don't really like me, though.
Incense?
No, frankincense.
Franken what?
Didn't you say the Magi give myrrh, frankincense?
Gold, frankincense, that's incense.
Oh, okay.
and-
That's why they don't like my gifts. They don't like my gifts.
It's because of their asthma.
Well,
that might
because they're
apply.
asthmatic, or because they're still children and they expect toys or something to recreate themselves with.
Yeah, what I did, I told them right from the start, there's no Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Because I care about him.
Oh boy.
They're just bars.
That's
Oh
right.
boy. Oh boy. How
Because
many
that's
how
what
many
we should all
parents
do.
will deliberately repeat generations old lies
Yeah,
until
see.
the end of time?
You could have done one thing, though. Santa Claus, the fictional Santa Claus
Yes.
that you were told about, he has one weakness. Like Superman has kryptonite. But Santa Claus has one weakness.
What's that?
Cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a point I meant to bring up. I have it in my
So
manifesto.
Just a little bit of a laxative in a cookie would take care of that. See?
We'll see. A lot of families would make the tradition of leaving snacks for Santa, but in reality he doesn't come. And then what happens to those snacks? The parents make the children go to the trouble of preparing and leaving them out. What happens afterwards when Santa Claus doesn't come?
Well, the parents eat the cookies then. More hypocrisy.
Yeah. Also. Leaving. Leaving snacks for Santa, or saying that he comes down a chimney when all the windows and doors are locked, is a bad example of letting a stranger into the house. Now that's another very valid point. Grown-ups make the children sit in the Santa Claus's laps and confide to them, and yet they teach the children, don't talk to strangers, don't interact with strangers, don't let strangers touch you. But by the time the children are taught those concepts, they've gone through a lot of mishandling and even pain by the hands of strangers. Look what happens the instant a baby is born. The doctor, who is a stranger, turns to the baby and slaps it to start it breathing. And then later, when the parents take the babies for their periodic checkups, the doctors, still strangers, jab the babies in their behinds with needles.
Just like Epstein.
Huh?
Never mind.
All right, but all right. So the babies don't know anything. They don't know yet how to speak up or defend themselves. But they suffer pain at the hands of strangers.
That's right.
And
the worst thing
when
about
they get what?
Sitting in a stranger's lap. That's the worst thing about it.
Yeah, and later when they get a bit older and they're taken to either daycare centers or start school, they're forced to interact with a room full of strange children and some strange grown-ups.
Yes. That's very strange.
So, okay, so the children have already undergone a lot of mistreatment at the hands of strangers before they're taught the concepts avoid strangers.
That's right. Stranger danger.
But I guess you can't avoid all strangers. I guess you can't avoid all strangers. At some point, you're going to go to the store and buy something from a stranger.
Or if you're in school, the whole class may be assembled in the room, and some professional, like a police officer, a first aid person, may talk to the children, and there's a stranger in the room. Why do the children have to listen to this person when they're taught not to come into contact with strangers?
That's right. And you never know which one is R. Kelly.
What? Which ones are what?
R. Kelly. He was a stranger. You never know.
Well, when you mean archaic, you mean
No.
strangers
No, that was the guy's name.
that held long past jobs or occupations?
No, let's move on to what's good about Christmas. We talked about what's bad about Christmas. What's good about Christmas?
We take the time to honor the birth of an extra special person, Jesus, because he was the Son of God, and we're taught to respect Jesus in every phase of his life. We have to go to church. We have, there are bound to be loads of Jesus figurines, not just babies as part of nativity sets, but, when he was a preteen and Mary and Joseph found him in the temple after he had disappeared for a couple of days, or as an adult, the image of the Sacred Heart. He has his right hand over his heart and his left hand extended. That's another adult image, mass-produced in the forms of figurines.
Do you think they told him about Santa Claus? Did they tell him about Santa Claus?
Mary and Joseph?
Well, I don't know.
Of course not.
Okay.
The real Saint Nicholas didn't come around until the 5th or 6th century after Jesus. And like I said, he was a church bishop.
How do you think St. Nicholas got associated with Santa Claus or was transformed into Santa Claus? Did he have any of those features?
The real Saint Nicholas was Dutch. So Dutch homelanders and later immigrants continued the tradition. But we also have to remember that the problem of excessive commercialism came around much, much later. In past centuries, there were no big retail systems or stores, but after a while, merchants wanted a live Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus impersonator to impress the kids, and that was a very serious mistake. Various dialects might have changed St. Nicholas's name to a shortened name, which, Clement Hart Moore in The Night Before Christmas still called him St. Nicholas, or sometimes St. Nick. I don't remember exactly how it was abbreviated to Santa Claus, but I have said that they demanded a visible image, and cartoonist Thomas Nast invented the obvious Santa Claus image.
Was he always obese? Was Santa Claus always obese?
Obese?
Obese.
Fat.
Oh no! That was That was a man-made tradition.
You think that's because of the cookies?
No, Clement Clark Moore was the first to describe St. Nicholas or Santa Claus as being fat. So obviously sometime later, the custom arose of leaving snacks.
So that's another reason that's a bad example for children.
Yes, because, well, I said before, you're leaving snacks for a stranger, and also, if Santa Claus really took the time out to eat all the snacks left him in numberless households, he would not only become obese, he would also lose time. And we enforce the superstition that he delivers the gifts worldwide in just one night.
So he was basically Jeff Bezos with Amazon Prime, but much faster. You know, like they have 2-day delivery, but he's done everything in one night. So he's faster than Amazon Prime.
Faster than who?
The delivery service. And do you ever feel bad for the reindeer?
If Santa Claus allegedly hails from the North Pole, he couldn't possibly survive. There is no land at the North Pole, just ocean. He couldn't survive, and neither could any animals.
How about elves?
Not elves either. They're supposedly human beings, but that's still living beings expected to survive in extreme cold and where there's no land masses.
But you didn't know that as a child. But you didn't know that as a child, so you couldn't argue with your parents.
That's right. Also, in department stores or shopping malls, where children might flock to see the resident Santas, sometimes when the Santas have to take breaks for a while, they put up a sign saying Santa's away feeding his reindeer, or if an imposter himself is talking to a child and he feels that he's short on time, I gotta go now and feed my reindeer. Live animals are not permitted in public enclosures like department stores. You would have the problem of feeding them and cleaning up their waste.
Yeah, that's why people get upset with me. Because I bring my reindeer to the store all the time. Now I learned something. Now, who started the Christmas card tradition? Do you know that?
What Christmas tradition?
Christmas card.
Christmas cards?
Mm-hmm.
I never learned. I never learned that.
How do you feel about other Christmas traditions like the tree? Do you have a tree? Do you put up a tree?
Christmas trees originated with Germany. Remember how on the night of December 25th to 26th, George Washington and the Revolutionary Army crossed the Delaware and made a surprise night attack on the Hessians in Trenton, New Jersey? Mm-hmm. Well, it was a surprise attack. The Hessians didn't expect an attack so soon after Christmas, but they had brought with them Christmas trees, and that's how gradually the tradition became permanent.
So there was no Christmas trees before that?
Not in the United States. I can't be sure about other countries.
Right. So what else is a Christmas tradition?
Christmas wreaths are circular because they represent time without end. Infinity.
I never heard it put that way before. Interesting.
Well, that's because God is around constantly, past, present, and future. That's eternity. So people took plants or some kinds of living things other than animals and arranged them in a circle to symbolize infinity.
Okay. What else? But are we missing anything? Did we cover all the
I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything.
Did you like Charlie Brown's Christmas?
Yes, I've seen that, but it focuses too much on commercialism. You don't get the real message of what Christmas is about until Linus goes out on an empty stage and relates the incident in the Bible of the angels appearing to the shepherds, letting them know that Jesus was born.
So do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Well, I have a number of them, but they're all based on the same story. Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, the story of Scrooge.
What do you like about it?
Well, the fact that Scrooge was visited by ghosts. The ghost of the past, especially, was made to wear white. So that when I got into Christmas parades later on, sometimes, especially if the year was a milestone anniversary for the novel, I appeared as the ghost of Christmas past.
What costume did you wear? Do you have a special costume for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I thought you might. I didn't know if you repurposed the Spectrum.
No. The Spectrum costume and character are exclusively Halloween.
Okay.
So any other movies that you like about Christmas? How about Christmas Story? Do you like that?
You mean that nostalgia story about Ralphie?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's okay, but the story makes Ralphie concentrate too much on bargaining with Santa for a dream present, a BB gun. There's very little reference to the Nativity.
How about It's a Wonderful Life?
Well, I've seen that sometimes, but that's too much about one person's life story.
Right. Did you ever see Beavis and Butthead's It's a Horrible Life? Did you ever see It's a Horrible Life?
A Horrible Life?
Yeah, it was like a comedy. Beavis and Butthead. It was a cartoon.
No, I never heard of it.
No? Yeah. Did you ever hear of Beavis and Butthead or no?
What?
Beavis and Butthead?
I still didn't understand.
It's a cartoon, Beavis and Butthead. It's old. It's like
Beavis and...
Butthead.
No, I never watched that.
Which cartoons do you like?
There really aren't that many of them left. The majority of cartoons I liked were TV cartoon characters that originated while I was growing up.
Like Underdog.
Well, I didn't discover Underdog until I was 13. And I knew he was fictional, but one reason it's wrong to think of him as just another cartoon character is that he was a superhero. He was a canine equivalent of Superman.
Right. But now we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What else
Wow.
What else can we say before we wrap it up?
Yes.
What else can we say about Christmas that we didn't say?
Christmas and what?
That we didn't say. What can we say about Christmas we didn't mention?
Yeah. No one knows the exact month or day that Jesus was born, but it's been traditionally set for December 25th because in ancient Roman times, there was a holiday or a week-long holiday called Saturnalia in conjunction with the winter solstice. the day spans had gotten very, very short. Now they were going to lengthen again, and the people rejoiced, and yes, and they gave one another presents. That also might have been the origin, much later, of Christmas cards.
Okay, that's good. All right, so should we just wave goodbye and wish everyone happy holidays?
I can sing a traditional carol.
Okay.
I can sing it in Latin.
don't you do that?
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
So why don't you go
we
ahead
wish
then?
you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Okay.
Go ahead.
Magna cum felicitate diei natalis Christi, delix natalis atque bonus annus nobus, summum gaudium semper vobiscum, gaudium diei Christi et anni novi.
Oh, bravo!
Come on, Cece. Feliz Natalis, Feliz Navidad, whatever the various languages are, for Merry Christmas. Bye. Bye, Cece. Atta girl.
All right, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.